What is up, everybody? Well, being that we are now in 2022, and I just got done last week talking about all of the games in 2021 that I played, please check that video out. I'll put a card up here. I ranked 31 games that I played last year. I'm starting to look forward to all of the games coming out over the next year. And so I took a list of all of the games that were coming out that I thought were cool, kind of got to my top 10 and ranked them in order which ones I'm anticipating the most. So we're gonna talk about all 10 of these, and let's cross our fingers and toes that none of these get delayed or pushed to further years, because it's already hard enough waiting until 2023 for Spider-Man 2. I don't wanna wait for anything else. Just let all these games come out this year. But kicking it off at number 10 is a game that typically I would not be very interested in, but I'm starting to pique my interest in this franchise a little bit for reasons that'll make more sense as the year goes on. But number 10 for me is going to be Hogwarts Legacy. Now, essentially, this is going to be like an RPG open world style game to where you literally experience what it's like to become a Hogwarts student, to where you get to go through the train station to Hogwarts, you get to buy your wand and train in these classes and all that stuff. And I've never really been a fantasy guy, and I've never really been a Harry Potter guy. But for a video that I'll be announcing later on this year, I will be watching all of the Hogwarts movies for the first time. I have seen a couple of them, but watching them all in their entirety for the first time. And I do have fond memories when that first movie came out, the video game movie tie-in of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, having a really good time going through that. And you do a lot of the same things I'm describing here. And so it sounds like a cool concept. It sounds like it could be something that, even though I'm not a die-hard Wizarding World fanatic, and I haven't been through the past couple of decades that this thing has been a huge property, I think I might actually have some fun running around and experiencing this world in a video game, so we will see. Number 9 is a video game that I still don't know a lot about, but just the concept and the promise alone really has me intrigued, and that is Sonic Frontiers. Now, I started my video game love with Sonic the Hedgehog 2 on the Sega Genesis, and I have played quite a few of the classic Sonic games. I've fallen out of love with Sonic, as most of us are, because there haven't really been great Sonic games since the early days of the Sega. Because for as simple as a game as most Sonic games are, where it's just side-scrolling, you go through all these little loop-de-loops and all of that, it's a game series that desperately needs some form of modern reinvention. And Sonic Frontiers, from what we know about it, is going to be potentially open world with all these different little zones that you go through. There's going to be a lot more of a 3D effect to the different worlds and all the exploration that you do as Sonic, and the speed and the loop-de-loops and all that classic stuff that we love these games for. So this might be another generic Sonic game that we talk about and kind of disappears into irrelevance, or this might be the game that finally, after a couple decades, kicks off a new generation of awesome Sonic games that kids today can love on the level that all of us loved back in the 90s. Number 8 is going to be Redfall. Now, this is from Arcane Studios, the guys that brought us Dishonored, and one of my favorite games last year, Deathloop, so that alone has me intrigued. But this is supposed to be like a Borderlands-esque style shooter in a world of vampires. And we've only seen like a gameplay, or not even a gameplay trailer, a cutscene trailer thus far, so that's the reason why it's this low. Until I actually see gameplay, I won't get super excited, but just the concept of this somewhat futuristic, somewhat cyberpunky style arcane shooter with vampires. And there's supposed to be a single-player mode as well as a 4-player co-op mode, and all of the details that I have right now without actually being able to visualize them sounds fucking awesome. And I have grown to really trust this studio because I love both of the Dishonored games, and I really love Deathloop. Number 7 is going to be Gotham Knights. Now, this is the studio that did Arkham Origins, so they're kind of like the side company that does all of the Arkham games. But I really liked Arkham Origins despite a couple of its flaws. I actually think that's one of the most underrated superhero games of all time. And so I'm very curious what they're going to do with Gotham Knights. There's supposed to be some co-op integration there that I'm very curious on how that's going to work, but you get to take control of either Robin or Red Hood or Batgirl or Nightwing, and all 4 of you are doing the Batman Arkham thing when Batman is supposedly dead, which presumably, I'm sure by the end of the game he'll reveal that he's not. But spending more time in the Arkham universe is enough to get my ass in the seat and enough to get me to pre-order a game like this, but being able to transfer to all these different characters and see how their gameplay styles are different and potentially doing co-op, I don't know if it's going to be couch co-op or online co-op within an Arkham game, just sounds like it's almost too good to be true. Number 6 is a game called Elden Ring. Now, admittedly, I've been kind of out of the loop on this game, but it's the newest game from Software. These are the people that does Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, and I loved Bloodborne to death. I got my ass handed to me in the beginning of Sekiro, so I didn't quite get into that one. I'd like to go back. And I really enjoyed Demon Souls, the remake on PS5, despite it just being a little too dense with the lore and everything. But this is supposed to be something that is in partnership with George R.R. Martin, the guy that brought us Game of Thrones. And so I'm hoping that the story of this will be a lot more accessible and a lot more interesting than some of their previous games that's pretty much just relegated to texts and collectibles for you to kind of flesh out the lore in the world. But the gameplay looks awesome. It looks very From Software style, and this looks to be something that's a little bit more in the style, in the ferocity, and in the speed of Bloodborne, which is certainly much more my type of game than the Demon Souls and the Dark Souls games. So I'm really looking forward to this one. This could be the best game of the year this early in the year. Number 5 is a game that's coming out very soon, and I really hope it doesn't get delayed because it's been delayed so many times, and that is Dying Light 2. Now, I loved the first Dying Light. That was a game that I was absolutely addicted to. It's gotten a lot of post-release support with different DLCs and expansions, and potentially 2 could have even more. But the fact that they're changing it up more and having more of these factions and putting a little bit more focus in the story and who you align with and how that shapes out the world, that really intrigues me. All of the parkour and the hand-to-hand fighting and the weapon fighting looks like it's gotten a lot of upgrades and revamped. And I just really enjoyed this concept, this parkour shooter beat 'em up style game where you're running around this world trying to explore and do all these different missions, and all of that just getting expanded into hopefully an even better game. That's enough to be one of my favorites of the year, so cannot wait to play it. Number 4 is Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. Now, admittedly, the first gameplay reveal didn't really impress me all that much. It wasn't quite what I was expecting the game to be, but it's a game made by the people that have made most of the Arkham games, including Arkham City, which is my favorite of the entire bunch. And just the concept of getting to play as the different Suicide Squad characters and take on the members of the Justice League, that sounds fucking awesome. I'm sure that the writing and the humor and the cutscenes and everything are going to be absolutely on point. I'm just a little bit on the fence on the gameplay and whether or not I'm going to enjoy that as much as I think I'm going to. Otherwise, this would be probably number 2. Number 3, admittedly, is the one game on this list that I have little to no faith is going to actually come out in 2022, but they might surprise me. And that's the sequel to Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, I am very late to the party on Zelda. I never really got into it in my Nintendo days. I outright skipped it on the Nintendo 64 days. And so I got into Breath of the Wild just because I wanted to get a Switch. I got Switch on day one. Breath of the Wild was the big game that everybody was praising that was a launch title. I got it. Me and my wife absolutely loved Breath of the Wild. We were addicted to this. My wife was still playing Breath of the Wild and going through shrines and exploring this world like 4 years after the game came out. And so strictly just because me and her can play it together, I'm really anticipating it because I love playing games with her and very few appeal to her. But if they take what they did successful in Breath of the Wild and improve it even more with the, 5 years it's been since that game, this is going to be an absolute masterpiece. Number 2 is going to be Horizon Forbidden West. Now, Horizon Zero Dawn was a big surprise for me. That was a game that was a PlayStation exclusive that I thought looked cool, looked intriguing, but when I played it, I was surprised at how much I really enjoyed the story and the lore and the world building that that game gave. And on its surface, it's just a fun game to explore. I mean, it's essentially a third-person shooter that's in like this prehistoric vein, but all of the prehistoric creatures you're taking out are all futuristic robots. So mostly because of the story, where they left things off with certain characters and with certain reveals in the first game, I'm really excited to get back into this world and have some of those questions answered, but it looks like the gameplay and the world building and the colors especially have gotten a giant upgrade in the second game. So this, I think, has the potential to solidify Horizon as another amazing PlayStation exclusive property. And speaking of amazing PlayStation exclusive properties, my number 1 is absolutely God of War Ragnarok. Now, I'm somebody that always liked God of War quite a bit. I did enjoy that original trilogy, but I always felt like I never really got into the character of Kratos as much as everybody else. You know, he was never one of my favorites. You got this reinvention of God of War that totally changed my perspective of the character of Kratos, and a lot of our perspectives, and made him and his relationship with his son this really captivating narrative, which is something that you would never use to describe the original God of War games. Those were about vicious ferocity, gore-filled action, and, you know, Greek mythology and all of that. It was never for these deep emotional character arcs or deep emotional character relationships, and that's all what this newest God of War did. On top of being an amazing game with awesome fighting, with really difficult but like fun difficult fighting and exploration and puzzle solving and all of that. So just that coming back and expanding that story with a little bit older Atreus, a little bit older, a little bit more grizzled Kratos, I think is going to be amazing. But the fact that you've got Thor and all of the big boys starting to enter the fray in this second game, I have gigantic eyes for how awesome this game is probably going to be. I cannot fucking wait to play it. So that's it, guys. That is my top 10 most anticipated video games of 2022. What are some that you cannot wait to play this year? Are there some that I missed? Are there some on this list that you think there is no chance that are coming out in 2022? Let me know all of your thoughts down below and which games you're looking forward to the most, and we will talk about it. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you are not already a subscriber. Thank you for watching as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.